Wells drinks are only $5. What's a Wells drink? A well drink is any non-branded house liquor with juice or soda. Bourbon ginger, vodka cranberry, gin and tonic, that sort of thing. Oh, great. I'll take the $5 Bacardi Mojito. Let's try this again. What can I get you? Drunk? Welcome to episode 26 of Behind Bars, Cocktails, and Wasted Nights. I'm your host, Greg. I've been working as a bartender for over 20 years, and over those years, I've seen a lot. My goal here is to share some of those high and low lights with you. Quick warning, this podcast contains sex, drugs, and some language that isn't suitable for anyone under 21 years of age, so you gotta have some ID. First things first. Shout out to Louis the Red, K. Marshall, and Dylan ZG. Thanks for the glowing reviews. This round's on me. And if you folks want to get served before the rest of the crowd, do what they did and share your love for the podcast and leave a 5-star written review. I really appreciate it, you guys. Thanks so much. Oh, and I'm not sure I'll stick with this, but I think I want to add a new feature to the show, which is a bar joke of the day. So, here goes. What does a crocodile that can't get it up suffer from? Erectile dysfunction. Heyo! Okay, before we get started, you'll need a drink. For this one, I recommend the Gala Temptress. First, chill a martini glass. Then in a shaker tin, muddle some mint and some agave nectar. Add 2 ounces of Stoli apple vodka, 3/4 of an ounce of fresh lemon juice, 1/2 ounce of agave nectar, and 1 dash of Angostura bitters. Add some ice and shake the hell out of it because water dilution is key on this one. Strain it into your chilled glass and garnish with a mint and an apple slice and enjoy. And as always, if you don't have any of that shit lying around, take a shot of El Jimador, set up a fat gator tail for your face hole, and prepare for takeoff. Okay, on with the story. To set the scene properly, I gotta get a little mopey and whiny for a minute. Don't call the wambulance, just bear with me. I'll try to keep it light. I know, I'm the bartender. I'm supposed to listen to your problems. Okay, here goes. It was 2006 and the whole system was breaking down. On every front. My roommate and writing partner had wifed up, leaving me no choice but to move to the valley and shack up with the enemy, which resulted in emotional warfare, property damage, and amazing sex. But it had to stop. I started seeing signposts on the way to being a story on Dateline. On Planet Hollywood, the writing team was breaking up. We had written a bunch of screenplays and gotten into rooms with lots of creative execs, but nothing was moving forward and we were getting frustrated and impatient. Life was starting to happen while we were busy making plans. It's heartbreaking when you're chasing down dreams and you learn they're so much faster than you. The cracks started showing. I was like a space shuttle breaking up on re-entry and catching fire. Here's a fun example. Our agent got us a meeting at Disney for a kids movie we wrote. Great caper, diverse cast, and funny as hell. Still one of my favorite movies you'll never see. The meeting was at Disney's Burbank offices, in a building that prominently displayed its famous characters carved into the exterior. Anyways, inside, after all the small talk, one of the Disney execs starts to give us the typical compliment sandwich and says, "It's a great script, really. Love the action, the set pieces, the jokes really hit. It just seems like it skews too young. But we think that's totally fixable with a couple more passes." To which I stupidly replied, "Fixable? Skews too young? I'm sorry, I thought I was in a building whose roof was being held up by 7 dwarves." The ensuing silence affirmed that this meeting was now over. My partner smiled awkwardly, pretending it was more joke than tantrum. Needless to say, Disney didn't write us a check. Anyways, that's a snapshot of how showbiz was going for me. Blowing chances like that were soul-crushing, upset our representation, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. As far as bartending, I just started Jack's Bar and Grill, the jazz bar that would eventually fire me, and was training with the enemy's best friend who brought me in, so I felt like a charity case right off the bat. It was the first time in my life I wore a tie, and to be honest, it kind of felt like a collar and leash, and not the fun 4 a.m. Saturday night kind. The regulars hadn't accepted me yet. I was absorbing new food and drink menus, meeting new coworkers, creating a new routine, and kept telling myself I'd sell a movie soon, and I'd be done with this any day now. But the stark reality was that I felt lost, and that I was doomed to a life of slinging booze while getting my eardrums blown out by some badass yet too loud trumpet players. Things were bad. And as usual, I'd make them worse. And, turns out, I didn't begin to know chaos until that one night when that foxy femme fatale walked in. She was model hot. See, the thing about bartending is that while it can be a dream-crushing, depressing grind, it also has its perks. And when you couple that with the perks of bartending in LA, well, then you have me, punching above my weight and batting above my average in the realm of connecting with smoke show babes by virtue of sheer overpopulation. She sauntered past the length of the bar, turning every head, and pulled up a stool by the service well. The MOD, Rico, signaled his approval with a hanging jaw and bulging eyes. Seriously, blonde, busty, tall, and her eyes, cheekbones, her everything. Be confident, Atreyu, I told myself as I made my approach. I wasn't so much nervous about talking to her as I was about every regular eyeballing me. I let muscle memory take over and went into my super hot girl shtick. What you drinking? A lot? She laughed. Whew. A girl without a sense of humor is basically kryptonite to me. Believe me, I'm 5'9" and an LA 5. I was forced to develop a personality to stay afloat. I bet you say that to all the barflies, she said with a devious smile. Oh man, feisty too. Foot in the door. Still, I didn't want her to talk because it was fucking up my routine. Own the room, Greg. Own the room. She ordered a Sauvignon Blanc and I served it up. Thanks, she said. It's what I do. Oh, by the way, how are you at taking compliments? I enjoy flattery, she said. Good. Then we already have something in common. Feel free to praise my service anytime, I said, and walked back to water my regulars, who all low-voiced the obvious with several, she's hot, who's that, and one who offered the, tell her that's on me. I set the booze hounds up and decided enough time had passed. I had to get back to her for part 2 of the flattery bit when she took me by surprise and said, I was hoping for a compliment and didn't get one. Do you always disappoint women like this? That's it. I was in love. Usually, yes. But to be honest, I said, I was going to compliment you on your dress. I almost wore the same thing tonight. Jeez, that would have been awkward. Looks way better on you anyway. Punchline landed. Studley, party of 2, your table is now open for casual banter. We got to talking, and it turned out she was in between jobs, just out of a long-term relationship, and was staying the night in the hotel above the bar while her ex moved his shit out of their place. I know. Order up. Checking all the boxes. Freshly freed, in transition, hotel upstairs. It was like an underhanded pitch, and I was going to swing for the fences. For the remainder of the evening, I completely ignored my regulars, both to their chagrin and approval. I'm sure they had a pool going on me at this point. I was so bad that Rico actually came behind the bar to serve the regulars because even he was on board with me chatting her up. Apparently my dick was a divining rod for the vicarious. She turned out to be as intelligent as she was gorgeous, and I was loving it. Then it occurred to me that one of these regulars could easily mention to the enemy's friend who trained me that I was chatting up another woman. This would be catastrophic for me and potentially dangerous to my person. So, naturally, I proceeded with abandon. Idiot. I fed her free drinks for the rest of the night and stealthily took some shots myself, all the while forgetting to mention anything about my fucked up long-term relationship. Whoops. When it was time to close, I counted my drawer and paid the bar back $30 to do all the rest of my shit, and like Rico, he was all for it. They were both rooting for me, but there was no way I was going to get it on with her. Was there? I mean, certainly my faux confidence was writing checks my cock couldn't cash. It was time. I was through with the portion of my closing to-do list that I didn't pay for. What's my move? Shit. Fuck it. Can I walk you up to your room, I asked? She stared at me coldly, appalled I was so forward. Fuck. Took it too far. Then she broke and laughed off my reaction. Totally fucking with me. This girl was the whole package. I've been up there all day, she said. How about I walk you to your car? Rico dropped his jaw and bulged his eyes in my direction again, and Leonardo, my barback, silently laughed and shook his head in disbelief. Safety first, I said, and offered my arm. She hooked hers into it, and we made our way in tandem down the narrow hall to the Center Theater parking lot and back. With only a few stragglers parked in the lot at this hour, she pointed to my black convertible. That's you, isn't it? Is it that obvious, I asked. Yes, she said. I unlocked the door and opened the passenger side for her. I was ready to rock below the belt before I even made it to the driver's side. I got in, and we started kissing. Or, she started kissing me, I should say. I wanted to take a moment and thank both her ex and New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc for my dumb luck. You know what's great about this dress, she asked? It just comes right off. And with that, she untied the attached cloth belt and opened her dress like a robe and unveiled the product of strenuous yoga and borderline excessive breast enhancement. Can it ever be excessive? Can it? Streetlight reflected off her skin, highlighting hints of sweat glistening off a six-pack as she buried my face in a saline sandwich, and I swear I heard angels sing. She immediately went for my belt, freed Willie, and bobbed on the bulb. I started to laugh. The parking lot served not only Jack's and the Glendale Center Theater, but a few other attached businesses on Brand Boulevard. A thrift shop, a deli, and the source of my laughter, a print shop. I was laughing because as I leaned back receiving all this sweet, sweet goodness, I turned my head toward the print shop sign. The place was called BJ's. Ah, irony. Before long, I hopped over the gear shift and got to it. And, being the gentleman I am, I walked her up to her room after. I drove home with the top down, praying the enemy would be asleep. I knew she had class in the morning, and I would have to walk Peanut when I got back anyway. I briefly thought of an excuse as to why I was taking a shower at 3:30 in the morning in case she woke up, then quickly stopped burning calories on conjuring up any bullshit as we had been sleeping in separate rooms for a couple months now. I unlocked the door to find my puggle shaking her ass in sheer joy at my arrival, and picked her up before she started welcoming me with her loud whimpers. I love dogs. Like, more than people. I'd grown up with dogs my entire life, and Peanut was my first on-my-own dog. I got her with the intention of first and foremost loving and providing an awesome life for her, and secondly, bringing some structure and stability to our world. I figured with the dog, I wouldn't be partying like a maniac, and the enemy and I would be a little less volatile and grounded with the needed routine a pet brings to the table. Well, turns out, Peanut drove the wedge deeper between us because the enemy, rightly so, became jealous of how much I loved the dog. I mean, I showered her with attention. I trained her, walked her 4 times a day, took her to the park where we hung out with retirees and their pups. I couldn't get enough. At the time of Peanut's puppyhood, the debate was raging in California over whether gay marriage should be legalized. That's when some nameless bitch was quoted saying, "If you let gays get married, what's next? Are you going to let people marry their dogs?" What a cunt. I remember hearing that and being offended. Why? Because I would marry my dog. We slept in the same bed but never had sex, so it was just like a regular marriage. We had been together a year, and we were still just as attracted to each other as we were the day we met. If I pet another dog, she didn't get mad, she just wanted to get in on it. And there wasn't a woman in the world that could poop on my rug, and I'd still love unconditionally. But I digress. We took our walk around the block, both of us overjoyed for our own reasons. For the moment, I was happy, but that was about to change the following night. I had the night off, and for some reason, the enemy got a wild hair to party the night away together. I didn't know where this was coming from, but I didn't care. I accepted any kind gesture from her at this point. Our relationship was dying slowly, and any blow event was pretty much like its Make-A-Wish Foundation, so I agreed to partake. We were on our way to acquire our recreational supplies when I noticed my windshield fogging up and clearly revealing a footprint on the glass in front of the passenger seat from my tryst the night before. Fuck! I was in a total panic, but did not betray any sign of such. I cranked the defrost and pulled over to put the top down before she noticed. Nightmare narrowly averted. Whew! But, as it turns out, the fox was sly and made sure to mark her territory, as I would soon learn. It was pure fate, as this time, the one time in a million times, the blow-cane contact was hers. So the exchange was made with her. She handed off the cash, and she dropped the baggie on the floor in the switch. She leaned down and picked it up and pretended nothing happened. But something had changed. You could feel the energy shift. We said our thanks and goodbyes to Dude and headed back to our apartment to get weird. After 2 minutes of not responding to my enthusiastic predictions of the fun we were about to have, she bent over and reached down into the dark abyss of the black interior and held up a pair of black panties with, forgive me for what I'm about to say, evidence of sexual activity on them. The fox had fucked me twice. "Whose are these?" she asked. I could feel my jugulars throbbing. Black panties on black interior. I never saw them. No clue they were there. My ears were ringing, and my tongue was cotton. Fuck. At that point in my life, I was an absolute scoundrel, and there was no way I was going to admit the truth. And in addition to being a total asshole, I'd be lying if I didn't tell you I was terrified of what she'd do to me while driving, or in my sleep if I did. She was just as crazy as I was. I panicked. I thought. Wasn't me. Never say die. Admit nothing. And with that self-pep talk, my stupid brain really came up short in the excuse department. I came back with, I have no idea. Then, to further demonstrate my genius, I added, I did do some laundry and had the basket in the seat. Maybe a neighbor left those in the dryer and they got mixed up with my clothes? They're dirty, she said. Idiot. Should have just copped the cross-dressing after I listened to myself say that. Truthfully, it didn't matter. Like I said, we'd been sleeping in separate rooms for a couple months, and I had seen evidence of her cheating on me anyway. Yeah, I snooped her phone. There were pictures, for fuck's sake. I just never confronted her.